Hey guys, welcome back. We're here to talk about the nightmare dungeons you want to do and the nightmare dungeons you want to completely avoid. The best nightmare dungeons are going to have the highest mob density, the shortest distance between groups, and the most intuitive dungeon layouts. Let's get right into it. To unlock nightmare dungeons, you're going to need to complete your first capstone dungeon and transition into World Tier 3. The easiest way to get your first nightmare sigil is turning in Grim Favors at the Tree of Whispers and opening the Whisper cache. Open up your consumables tab to activate your nightmare sigil. Nightmare sigils transform a regular dungeon into a special nightmare dungeon variant. The level of the enemies in a nightmare dungeon is calculated by taking your world tier plus 50 plus the sigil tier. Nightmare sigils have special affixes that modify the enemies in the dungeon or the dungeon itself. The worst negatives are Lightning Storm, Stormbane's Wrath, and Drifting Shade. The best positives are Quick Killer, Magic Find, and Increased Critical Strike. Nightmare dungeons are currently the only way in the game to level glyphs, making nightmare dungeons a must. Not all nightmare dungeons are created equal. Here are the best and worst nightmare dungeons. Sirocco Caverns is by far the best nightmare dungeon you can do. You'll be going up against Spider, Fallen, and Maggots in a narrow path, which is where the nightmare dungeon's high mob density comes from. Careful, because spider enemies can explode, causing poison damage in a short area. This can be dangerous when too many of them are stacked together. One of the main reasons this dungeon is so great is because every objective has a circular layout, making it easy to clean up every enemy without having to double back. There are two objectives in this dungeon: destroying Silken Spires and then defeating special elite enemies called Spider Callers. Flooded Depths is another great example of an easy layout and easy to complete objectives. The first objective in this dungeon is to defeat a special elite called the Plague Ship Rower and open the gate that leads to the next objective. For the next objective, we just need to destroy 3 drowned bells, which are not only surrounded by elites, but also spawn more elites. The first part of this dungeon is an easy, straightforward path. The second part needs a little memorization to make the most of. Light's Watch is a castle-style dungeon in Skosglen that requires the Hope's Light stronghold completed before being able to enter. In this dungeon, during the Watchman objective, you'll need to split in 2 directions. I highly recommend in both directions to go around these loops to pick up as much experience points as possible. This is our first dungeon in our list to feature a boss at the end. Belfry Zakara is another dungeon where the first objective is to destroy drowned bells that spawn elites, and the second objective is to simply defeat a special elite for a key to the boss room. Make sure to make the most experience by fully completing these small loops on the map. In higher tier versions of this, be careful of the drowned wench charge attack that creates holes on the ground that eventually explode. This will easily one-shot you at higher levels. Jalal's Vigil is very reminiscent of the dungeons Mulwood and Alderwood in previous seasons. Pay special attention to the chargers in this dungeon, because they do a charge attack that can one-shot you at higher levels. You'll need to memorize where the loops on the map are, as they're easy to skip and miss out on experience points from elites. There's a boss at the end of this dungeon as well. Ghoa Ruins might just be the best nightmare dungeon for glyph leveling. Ghoa Ruins is the first nightmare dungeon in Diablo 4 to have 0 objectives, meaning you can skip right to the end, defeat the boss, and collect your glyph experience. This would be an absolute mistake though if you're looking for experience points. There's plenty of opportunities to gain lots of experience points within these areas in Ghoa Ruins. Deserted Underpass. This nightmare dungeon reminds me of Sirocco Caverns. It has a short layout, a narrow pathway, and the mob density is extremely high. Definitely keep your eye out for this nightmare sigil. Here's a quick overview of all the best and worst nightmare dungeons in Season 2, with all the good and bad affixes included in one spot. Use these practical tips for making the most out of nightmare dungeons. Ever since the Season 2 patch, it's never been easier to stock up on nightmare sigils. After completing every nightmare dungeon, you'll automatically receive a new sigil in your consumables tab, meaning you'll never be without one. Salvage all of your unwanted sigils at the occultist. This includes bad dungeons or even bad affixes. Avoid nightmare sigils that resist your main types of damage, as this will slow down your clear speeds dramatically. Once you've salvaged all your sigils, try crafting new sigils to replace them. Completing nightmare dungeons tier 30 or higher can drop a consumable item called Distilled Fear. You can use 9 of these at the occultist to summon the new boss, the Ice Beast. Here's the loot table for the Ice Beast, just in case you want to pursue this boss later. It's incredibly important during nightmare dungeons to touch every golden chest, shrine, and healing well. Every one of these has a chance to be a cursed version of itself, leading to an event that spawns tons of enemies. This will give you a ton of experience points for completing and is well worth it. Another wave type event I highly recommend doing are some of the NPC events you'll find around nightmare dungeons. Only with time and experience will you learn which of these are fun to do and worth it, and which of these are not worth doing at all. Make sure sure when you're completing Nightmare dungeons to learn the layouts of each dungeon. You'll want to do this so you don't accidentally miss out on large packs of enemies and elites. It's not worth doubling back a far distance for, but this is easy experience points for when you're already there. If you enjoyed this style of content, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, good luck, and have fun.